Shalom, Apostle coming back at you with this truth, giving all praise to Yahweh Bashim, Al-Shai Bashim, Kakodash. I'm going to make this real quick. Anyway, I'm going to entitle this Plagues and Pestilence. We all know about the coronavirus, which is pretty much getting out of control. There's over 500 million people in certain areas of China or inside of China that's locked down. And the numbers got to be higher than that. Now they're basically, there's a video out of a woman that was in a building, a tall building. And I guess they tried to grab her. And she jumped out of the window. She'd rather die than to go to the concentration camp. Now I don't know if that's an old video, a recent video, something that happened yesterday. But that's what they're saying. Anyway, I was watching this video put up by Double 7, and this was put up today. Today's date is February 10, 2020, year prophecy. Germany reports outbreak of highly pathogenic H5N8 bird flu virus, and this was sent to me by Apostle Aram Lob, and it was funny because I was just watching it, and I went to my notifications, and he had put it on one of my videos. So when I clicked on it, I said, "Oh, I just got finished watching the video a second before I clicked on this one." It's a short video, 2 minutes long, and then there's somebody else sent me a message on one of my videos about Nigeria. There's a plague, whatever it's called. I'll look it up after this. That if you catch it, you die inside of 48 hours. So we're talking about inside of 2 days. So there's plagues popping up all over the place. Hey, I told you, 2020 year prophecy. Prophecies are coming to pass. Anyway, you can watch this video, 2 minute long video, and I guess you can take, you can copy and paste H5N8 bird flu virus, and you get some information on it. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some scriptures. Try to go through these quick. The first scripture is, and what you got to understand is most of these scriptures that I'm going to bring out are plagues that the Most High sent to upon Israel. He came against the kingdom of Israel, which is the northern kingdom. Then he sent the Babylonians upon the southern kingdom, or the kingdom of Judah. So that while that was happening, when you read Jeremiah, and that's during the time of Jeremiah, that was during the time of the Babylonian Empire. That's why it mentions Babylon and the king of Babylon so much. And that's actually talking about the actual king of Babylon, but it's really talking about, it's twofold. It's actually talking about us now, because when you read like Jeremiah 49, Jeremiah 48, Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah 51, and other parts of Jeremiah, it's talking about now. So Jeremiah thought it was talking about back then, but it's really talking about now. Because it says in either Jeremiah 50 or Jeremiah 51 that the children of Judah and the children of Israel shall be oppressed together. Well, back during the time of the Babylonian Empire, when Jeremiah was scribing these prophecies, the kingdom of the northern kingdom, or the kingdom of Israel, was taken over by the Assyrians. So we know that these prophecies are referring to right now. Anyway, the first scripture is Jeremiah 21 verse 6. And I will smite the inhabitants of this city, both man and beast. They shall die of a great pestilence. Now, when you look up the word pestilence, the word is dabar, which means pestilence, plague, a murrain, cattle disease, a cattle plague. And most of these pestilence, these viruses are through animals, like this new plague, which is the H5N8, is a bird flu. So it comes from chickens. And so basically we gotta, we're living under the grace of the Most High. So I don't have to worry about not eating this or eating that. I just go with the Spirit. You eat, you pray over the food. Ask the Most High to bless that particular meal that you're going to eat, and go ahead and eat it in faith. Next scripture. I'm gonna breeze through these scriptures. So you that's been lollygagging and bullshitting. Now it's time to step into high gear. It says Jeremiah 24 verse 10, and I will send the sword. And the Most High did that back in the past, and he's doing it again right now. It says I will. Good scripture also to read is 2 Ezra's the 15th chapter, 2nd Ezra the 15th chapter, the 2nd Ezra the 16th chapter, which I see we're going to be reading that quite a bit, those two chapters. Now you see how quick this virus, the coronavirus, then took over. It was sometime around, the 23rd, I think it was officially brought out in January. It could have been 15, anywhere from 5th to 15th to the 20th. And we're only in, this is going into the second week of February. So in less than a month, it went from a few cases of the coronavirus and Wuhan, China, to now a great deal of China. Like I said, there's over 500 million people that are under lockdown. And it's gonna come over here, man. And when these plagues and these pestilence and these plagues of the Most High, because ultimately it's the Most High, whether Esau, set it up in a laboratory, ultimately it's the Most High's doing. From the Most High comes the issues from death, meaning he's the one that can destroy you. You can be hit with a disease, and the Most High could heal you of that disease or let you die of that disease. So, it says here in Romans, what is that? Let me bring up another. I believe that's Romans 15 verse 5. You got Jake going crazy over this Gail King thing. Her questioning, what's the chick, Lisa? She played for the WNBA, and they were asking her about Kobe and the rape allegations. So there's a big thing about it with Snoop Dogg and 50 and other celebrities, which she should have never asked that question. But they're making a big deal over it, and Jake not realizing that they're going to have to deal with these plagues. They're going to have to deal with famine. starvation, which is famine, and then they're going to have to be they're going to have to deal with whether they're going to take the chip or not. And while Jake is playing around, they'll watch our videos for entertainment. When it's time for them to take that chip, Esau is going to present that chip in a way that they're going to break their neck to get that chip. And the only ones it tells you in Isaiah 33 verse 6, it talks about the stability, that we're going to be stable. Because we're going to know what's coming. We're going to know, we're going to be able to identify what the mark of the beast is when they set up them chipping stations, however which way they're going to do it. So anyway, it says here in it's 4 Romans 15 verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. Now the comforter is the scriptures, and this right here proves it. It says that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures. Did not the Lord say he's going to send you the comforter? So the comforter is not a man. The comforter is the scriptures. So now let's go back to Jeremiah 24 verse 10. And I will send the sword, the famine, and the pestilence among them. Because a lot of our people are going to suffer from these pestilence along with Esau and the other nations, till they be consumed from off the land that I gave unto them and to their fathers. Now he's talking about how he brought pestilence and famine and the sword to Israel. But so now this applies to Esau and the other nations and 2/3 of Israel. Next precept, Jeremiah 28 verse 8. And things are moving quick. Things are moving so quickly that you don't know what's going to happen come summertime. Like I said, this coronavirus, they talked about it sometime in the mid to the 15th to 20th, around there. They had mentioned it briefly. And in less than a month, it's completely out of control, and it's no longer epidemic. Epidemic meaning it's over the people in one particular country. Now it's a pandemic or mega pandemic. Anyway, it says in Jeremiah 28 verse 8, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kings, of war and evil and of pestilence. And we've been doing that. So next precept. We're still in the book of Jeremiah. Jeremiah 29 verse 17. Jeremiah 29 verse 17. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, behold, I will send upon them the sword. Now this is talking about Israel, but now it's referring to these other nations and 2/3 of Israel. And famine and pestilence, and will make them like vile figs that cannot be eaten. They are so evil. Next scripture, Ezekiel 5 verse 12. A third part of thee shall die with the pestilence, and with famine they shall be consumed in the midst of thee, and a third part shall fall by the sword. And this is going to happen again around about thee, and I will scatter a third part into the wind, into all the winds, and I will draw out a sword after them. And that's referring to us being cursed, but now it's coming upon the 2/3 of Israel and these other nations and Esau. And ultimately, we know what's going to happen to Esau. They're going to get burnt up. Next scripture, Ezekiel 28, verse 23. For I will send into her pestilence and blood into her streets. And that's going to happen over here. That's happening in China. They got people, the military grabbing people up, throwing them in metal boxes, putting them in prison camps, giving them injections, vaccines or whatever. See, we don't know what's really going on in there. And what the Chinese are doing, there's so many dead that what they're doing, they're cremating the bodies. So if you get a heat map of the planet, I gotta look that up. You know what? Let me go to that. Let me go to that. Let me see what's gonna come up. If that's even a phrase. Heat map. Let me put in China. I don't know what's going to come up, but let's see what's going to happen. Let's see what's going to come up. It just says coronavirus death smog is China burning thousands of infected bodies. Hunan coronavirus, how to track the infection, Business Insider. Well, this first article is from CNN.com or CCN.com. It says coronavirus death smog is China burning thousands of infected bodies. So you can look that up and do more research on that. So that's the question. Trying to bring down the numbers. Oh, there's only a 1,000. And they might be 100,000. If they lock down over 500 million, then how many people are suffering? Suffering these these giant crematoriums. They might be out in the field just throwing the bodies in there and burning them up, because a dead body that's diseased brings more disease. Next precept. Like I said, this is going to be relatively short. Ezekiel 28, verse 23. For I will send into her pestilence, which is your H5N8 bird flu. For I will send into her pestilence, and the herd now is talking about America. Because if they clean everything up and everything comes back to normal, eventually more plagues are going to come. So this is Esau's time. You know, it's time for Esau to be punished and for Israel to rise. So this is the Most High's doing. All we did, the prophets, all we did was went out there and spoke the word. The Most High is going to make the action. Okay, Ezekiel 28 verse 23, for I will send into her pestilence and blood into her streets. Now, you go to China, they have videos of people just dropping dead in the streets. So what they're doing, the military or medical personnel is picking them people up and putting them in trucks and taking them over to the burning center and just cremating their bodies. And the wounded shall be judged in the midst of her by the sword upon her on every side, and they shall know that I am the Lord. Now, Esau doesn't know that this is coming from the Most High. But there's going to be a time where they're going to start saying, you know what, this is the Most High is doing. Then it shall be known who am I chosen. That's in 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter. This is Exodus. This is the last scripture. Like I said, you can read, there's a bunch of scriptures on pestilence, plagues, famine. You know, like I said, I mentioned 2nd Ezra the 15th chapter and 2nd Ezra the 16th chapter, and that's right around the corner. And it can happen quick, man. I mean, you know, here we are in the going into the second week of February. By June, all hell could break loose. Most High is speeding things up. So you people that have been playing games and lollygagging, man. Oh, what's it saying in Habakkuk? Matter of fact, let me get that. Let me get that in Habakkuk. I mean, I know that scripture by heart. Habakkuk 2. It says Habakkuk 2:1. I'll start from the top. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and that's what we've been doing. We go out there in the highways and the byways. We do the sit downs, and we'll watch to see what He will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved or corrected. And the Lord, because you know, before you come into this, you correct it. Your conscience is corrected. You know, you were in the world and you heard brothers speak, or you came across a video, and then you might have been eating pork, or you might have had a no bed on your face, and then you start changing your life around, and then you want to be a teacher yourself. This is the second verse, Habakkuk 2 verse 2. And the Lord Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak. So, are we at the end? Yes, we are at the end. Because the visions or the prophecies are speaking loud and clear. But at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. So we're in that time right now. We've been waiting. Ezekiel 33 verse 27, that's the last scripture. Say thou thus unto to them, thus saith Yahweh the Most High, as I live, surely they that are in the waste shall fall by the sword, and him that is in the open field, because you're going to have people out there in the field, you're going to be living out there in the mountains, will I give to the beast to be devoured, and they that be in the forest and in the cave shall die of the pestilence. And that was referring to Israel, but now it's going to come upon now if you jump down, I'm in the 27th verse, if you jump down, and you can read that whole chapter, but if you jump down to the 30th verse, it says, also thou, son of man, the children of thy people are still talking against thee. That's those scoffers. Those are the ones that's going to be eaten by animals, and they're going to die out there in the field, because they came against the true men of the Most High, thinking that this is a joke. It's not going to be a joke anymore. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom, and it's on to the next one. Shalom.